Thanks, Sophie. Hello, I'm Jennifer Jones. The headlines in Wales. Welsh rugby under the spotlight as WRU bosses claim the union has paid off previous loans and refinanced its debts.
We still don't know what the key question holds, though. We still don't know what the restructuring of the game itself will look like.
I'm at Menai Rugby Club in Swansea, a city where there's been no let-up in the anger towards any prospect of losing the regions in terms of the Ospreys.
Fans are sick of the uncertainty, players are sick of the uncertainty, but the lack of clarity, the lack of detail from the WRU is just killing the sport.
Also in tonight's programme. The mother of 5-month-old Jensen Lee Dougal, allegedly killed by his stepfather, describes the moment her son's life support machine was switched off. Weight restrictions and traffic management to continue on Menai Bridge. Repairs due to end this month will take another year. And sitting in the back seat of the Team GB bobsleigh at Newport's Mika Moore explains why at this year's Winter Olympics she'll represent Jamaica.
I described it yesterday as like opening up your phone and tapping on every emoji, because I don't think there's one emotion that I could put to it. Like, obviously super excited.
Good evening, noswaith dda i chi. Well, after another dramatic development in Welsh rugby, which has left the Ospreys' future in doubt, Welsh Rugby Union bosses have been answering questions from a group of MPs today. They told the Welsh Affairs Committee that they've now secured a major restructuring of its finances, but admitted that the new deal was not dependent on cutting the number of professional sides. We've also heard today from the head coach of the Ospreys, who told us that yesterday's training was cancelled as players and coaches held an emotional meeting to discuss the prospect of their owners taking over at Cardiff. Well, in a moment, we'll hear from Nick Savini, who's in Swansea, to get some reaction from the Grassroots clubs. But first, let's head over to Westminster and our political editor, Gareth Lewis. Gareth.
Well, Jen, MPs at today's hearing don't have the power to force the Welsh Rugby Union to do anything, but today was an opportunity to get the WRU's thinking, to get their plans out there on the record, and thousands of rugby fans across Wales will be keenly interested in what they had to say. Now, look, the ante has really been upped over the past 48 hours or so, especially after it emerged that the owners of the Ospreys are preferred bidders to buy rivals Cardiff from the Welsh Rugby Union, as the WRU looks to cut the number of professional sides in Wales from 4 to 3. Today is a day when the politicians get their chance to reflect on the state of Welsh rugby, to put the Welsh Rugby Union's plans for the professional game under the spotlight. They heard that the WRU has refinanced its debt over the next 3.5 years, paying off previous loans and doing a new deal worth £55 million with HSBC and Goldman Sachs, and will be seeking longer-term refinancing.
The economic rock on which we're based is now much, much stronger, and that was an essential prerequisite. We're announcing actually today, over the course of today and tomorrow, that we've completed a major refinancing of all the debt in the Welsh Rugby Union, repaying both National Westminster Bank and also the Welsh Government through the Welsh Development Bank of Wales.
The WRU took out a COVID support loan in 2022 from the Welsh Government worth £18 million. It asked Welsh ministers for breathing space on interest payments exactly 2 years ago. Mr Collier-Keywood said its new deal is 1 percentage point better. So if they're in a better position, why cut a club? Was this new finance deal dependent on that? It became clear it was not. The banks were interested in how much was spent, but not how many clubs that money was split between.
As far as the professional game is concerned, the number of clubs, what was the model presented to them?
The number we focused on was the distribution number, because essentially that's what they were interested in. They weren't actually interested in how many, they were interested in what the level of the distribution was.
Right, okay.
They might be in a better financial space, but the WRU argues that 4 teams would spread its funding too thinly to be competitive, and that there aren't enough Welsh players for 4 top sides. It's led to fears of what the future holds, especially at the Ospreys. After the WRU came supporters groups who had the chance to listen and be heard.
If shrinking the number of professional clubs doesn't improve the overall performance of the elite teams and the national team, we might never recover from this. And the request of the WRA is please don't manage our decline. It's our game.
Today we heard from the Ospreys head coach for the first time since the news that his club's owners could buy rivals Cardiff. The Ospreys ditched training yesterday for an open and heated meeting.
We didn't get anywhere near the amount of clarity that everybody was looking for. Because there's so many things that are unknown. There was different people feeling different things for different reasons. So anger would have definitely been one. I think frustration, I think confusion, probably a bit of fear in the room as well, around the unknown. If you don't know what's going on, it can create a lot of anxiety.
The WRU faced lawmakers today. Will they face legal action in the future? Swansea Council is considering that to keep the Ospreys and professional rugby in the city.
Fans are sick of the uncertainty, players are sick of the uncertainty, and we are really frustrated because we want to invest in St Helens, we want to support the Ospreys, but the lack of clarity, the lack of detail from the WRU is just killing the sport. And it's really, really frustrating because we want them to be successful and we want to get on with the redevelopment of the ground.
Change is difficult, and recognising that change had to be made, it was not going to be any easy decisions in that. What process we're in at the moment, David, is that we're going through trying to reach a consent route with the clubs rather than having to go through a formal tender. The reason we're doing that is because a formal tender will take time and effort, and what Wales needs right now is some certainty.
The current crisis in Welsh rugby has been rumbling on for months, and we're no closer to knowing when it will all end. And Jen, that key question remains tonight. We know the finances might have been restructured. We still don't know exactly how the professional game itself will be restructured. And it doesn't look like this will conclude anytime soon, albeit Swansea Council, the Ospreys and the Welsh Rugby Union are going to meet tomorrow. Let's see if there's any developments there. But Abby Tierney warning that if no deal can be done and this has to go out to tender to get down to 3 sides, then it could take 6 months to conduct that process. The committee, by the way, the Welsh Affairs Committee, within the past half hour has issued a statement saying that the Welsh Rugby Union risks throwing the baby out with the bathwater if they go down to 3 teams. There seems to be, they say, an immense disconnect between the Welsh Rugby Union and fans, and there needs to be more done, they say, to bring people with them. Jen.
Gareth, thank you very much. Well, lots to digest there. We know that coaches and players at the grassroots of the game are keeping a close eye on developments. Nick is in Swansea at Bonamine RFC. Nick.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, welcome to the bar in Bonamine. We've got so much to be grateful for to grassroots clubs. They produce the great stars that we all enjoy watching. Very big thank you to this club because it produced the great Alan Wynne-Jones. Now, there was due to be a match play tonight, the junior match, 6:30 kickoff. The huge amount of rain that we've had means the pitch is unplayable. So we've come indoors, and I'm speaking to the head coach of Bonamine, Sam Kiley, here at the bar. Evening, Sam. Thank you for your time. Look, for all the reasons that we've heard in Gareth's piece, it appears to be heading in the direction of losing professional rugby at the Ospreys in Swansea. What does it mean for a club like this?
I feel that we've built such a strong relationship with the Ospreys over the years, with certain boys stepping up into academies and playing age grade rugby. And I think the whole uncertainty of how all that is now going to work is where we're kind of struggling with.
Yeah, and you've got a massive junior section here, haven't you? You've like 300.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, like you said.
And the pathway there, what is the pathway for some really promising youngsters? You know, the future Alan Wynne-Joneses. Currently, it's all tied in with the Ospreys.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate currently. I think we've got 8 players in with the Ospreys under 16s who, and there's a few there who we feel got potential to step up again and go further with the rugby careers. But like you said, just the whole uncertainty of what's going to happen now with the clubs within the Swansea region, within the Osprey region, and in what kind of direction is that going to take us?
Do they lose motivation in future if you've got a promising youngster and really realising actually in order to play professional rugby they would have to leave the city?
Yeah, well that's our kind of concern at the moment, because if you were to dissolve the Ospreys, how would that, where would the Osprey region be directed to, whether it be split in half and the Cardiff swallow half and potentially the Scarlets were to take half say the Swansea area. I think a lot of people would find that difficult given the history and rivalry over the years.
Well, of course. To be fair to Abby Tierney, Chief Executive of the Welsh Rugby Union, to the MP, spent a lot of time talking about the grassroots and the pathway, and according to their plan, they want to put, and they say they are putting more money into clubs like yours, grassroots clubs. Do you understand the predicament that they're in?
Yeah, and I got no doubt that the WRU are acting how they feel is in the best interests of Welsh rugby. But I just feel that at the moment there's a lot more questions and answers at the moment, and how it's all going to kind of work. So I think a little bit of transparency really of it all would be needed. Really.
And just briefly, what's your expectation? What do people in this club expect to happen?
I'll be honest, I can't see anything else but the Ospreys kind of go in, and I really feel as well, because I know one or two of the coaches personally, I know a few players, there's obviously the Ospreys in the community who I'm friendly with, and obviously with their jobs at stake now, I really feel for them. OK, Sam Kiley, head coach at Bottom thank you very much indeed. So from the get a sense of grassroots rugby here in Swansea, back to you in the studio.
Nick, thank you very much. Well, also tonight, a jury has heard emotional evidence at the trial of a man accused of killing his 5-month-old stepson. Jensen Lee Dougal's mother and grandmother have both been describing the devastating events leading up to his death in Clydach in Swansea in 2024. His stepfather, Thomas Morgan, denies murder. Well, David Grundy joins us from Swansea Crown Court. And David, some harrowing evidence today, and emotions were high.
Yeah, Jen, this case centres on the death of a 5-month-old baby, and some of the evidence today was deeply distressing. Now, paramedics found Jensen Lee Dougal had stopped breathing at the family home in Clydach in March 2024. His stepfather, Thomas Morgan, told police that the baby had been sick, and neighbours attempted CPR. Jensen was then taken to the University Hospital of Wales in Cardiff, where doctors found catastrophic brain damage, multiple fractures and severe retinal bleeding. His mother, Jordan, told jurors her son was a really happy baby, and she'd never had issues with Thomas Morgan caring for him. She was shocked at the number of injuries he had and just how severe they were, telling the court she thought doctors were talking about another baby. Now, fighting back tears, she said she was told that Jensen would never breathe on his own again, and it was her decision to turn off his life support machine. And it was that brought members of the public gallery, Jen, to tears as well.
And Jensen Lee's grandmother also gave evidence, David.
Yeah, Lucy O'Connor broke down several times, calling her grandson a wonderful baby, who she said was the light of our lives. She told the court about the day their lives changed forever, when she saw Jensen on the floor, the living room floor of a neighbour's house, surrounded by paramedics. She said Thomas Morgan had told her Jensen had been sick, that he'd stripped him, put him on the settee and gone upstairs to get a fresh baby grow. When he came back down the stairs, he went to clear up the dog's mess in the kitchen before checking on the baby, a baby who had stopped breathing again. Now, the prosecution alleges that Thomas Morgan assaulted the baby while fired up in anger after an argument with his ex-partner. He denies murder and 3 counts of GBH with intent, and the trial here is expected to last 4 weeks.
OK, David, thank you very much. David Grundy there at Swansea Crown Court. Well, to North Wales now, and work to repair the Menai suspension bridge will take until early 2027. People using the bridge connecting Anglesey to the mainland have already faced over 3 years of disruption as engineers address structural problems. Well, today the Welsh Government confirmed that repairs are going to last for at least another year, as Chris Dearden reports.
Weight restrictions, lane closures, temporary lights. They've been part of life for 3 years or more if you use the Menai suspension bridge. It's Grade 1 listed and a historic structure, but more importantly, it's one of only 2 bridges linking Anglesey to the rest of Wales. And back in October 2022, it closed suddenly when engineers found serious structural issues. The original problem was these things called the bridge hangers. They've now been sorted, but the work on them was supposed to be followed up by some more general maintenance. And guess what? While the engineers were doing that, they found yet more problems, leading to yet more delays. And in the nearby town of Menai Bridge, business owners say those delays have already cost them money. They just want to see an end to it.
Very frustrating for us. We live in Menai Bridge. Obviously, we're in a business in Menai Bridge. Just frustrating. The delays haven't been dreadful when there's traffic lights. It's just, if it's completely closed, it's a disaster. but it's just the uncertainty and nobody's communicating with us properly about what's happening.
And today the Welsh Government said it is listening to those concerns. It says engineers are organising the work so the bridge won't have to close completely and temporary traffic lights will be kept to a minimum.
Because of the reprofiling of this work, there won't be the road closures that were originally envisaged, and instead the road will remain open to all apart from the heaviest of vehicles. Now that's good for businesses that may otherwise have suffered had there been road closure. So road management systems will be put in place for short periods when necessary.
But there's one disappointment which no one can do anything about. The Menai suspension bridge is 200 years old next week. After several years to build, it opened in January 1826. The work won't now be finished for the birthday celebrations. Welsh Government says it has to concentrate on making sure the bridge can last another 2 centuries.
Well, next tonight, new analysis of data by Public Health Wales has found many children here are overweight or obese before their 3rd birthday. The study looked at the causes of rapid weight gain on over 4,000 children born in 2022 and found nearly 12% were obese by the time they were 27 months old. Well, let's speak now to public health consultant, Dr. Ilona Johnson. Hello, welcome to the studio. And also to Rachel Evans, National Lead for Breastfeeding in Wales. Welcome. Ilona, tell us about the finding of this analysis of this data.
So this data has been on 4,000 children, and this is the Healthy Child data, which is taken at 27 months. And what the findings were that 12% of the children were obese by the time they were 27 months, and 15% were above a healthy weight, so overweight.
And is this a growing trend? Are these the kind of figures that you would have seen 10 years ago?
Well, we've known that children are above a healthy weight because we do measure children at the age as they go into school. So we know that 1 in 4 are either living with overweight or obesity when they start school, but we've not really looked at this data before, which is why this has been particularly interesting.
And it's quite complex, isn't it? You know, the reasons behind this.
Yeah, hugely complex. And this particular study is particularly interesting in terms of the work that's been done, because this shows that breastfeeding and exclusive breastfeeding for, in essence, 6 months is actually protective for those children. But that's just one of many, many factors, lifestyle factors, that will actually affect whether or not a child will be a healthy weight. And that trajectory into adulthood will obviously follow with that growth.
You mentioned breastfeeding. Rachel, babies fed exclusively on formula have nearly double the chance of rapid weight gain than those exclusively breastfed. Again, it's not a straightforward answer, isn't it? But do we know why that might be?
It's complicated and we don't know everything, but we think that it could be related to how breastfeeding babies are fed, so they tend to be fed more responsively and choose when to start and stop feeding. But also to do with the components of breast milk, of which there are thousands and we don't fully understand all of them yet.
Mm-hmm. And there are some women who choose not to breastfeed or can't for a variety of different reasons. And what support would there be for them?
So all women should be able to get personalised advice from their midwife or their health visitor with whatever method they choose to feed their babies. But what we need to do as a result of this work is think about why fewer women in Wales choose to breastfeed than in other nations, and why so many of those women stop breastfeeding before 6 months when those health benefits are realised. And we need to think about what we can do to create environments to enable women to breastfeed for as long as they would like to.
And Ilona, in addition to that, what other preventative measures could be made?
So there's a number of things to support individuals and families in particular, which have been helpful. We know that peer support, we know that supportive communities, there's some fantastic work in Blaenau Gwent with supportive communities where they've increased the breastfeeding rates. And it's also the wider environments of those families, so making sure that the food that's available and the labelling is consistent with health messages. So it's very much in totality about supporting those families to be a healthy weight and coming all the way back to starting with the best start in life for all of those children.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ilona Johnson and Rachel Evans. Thank you both. Now, members of Eryri National Park Planning Committee have deferred their decision on a controversial hydroelectric scheme in a beauty spot. They say the delay is due to the volume of responses they've received, which they haven't had time to go through. It's claimed the proposal for the Afon Cynfal development near Llanfestiniog in Gwynedd could generate enough electricity for 700 homes, but conservation groups have raised concerns.
There's numerous experts in the field who've looked at the scheme and the potential impacts it will have. It goes to show with the correct mitigation, the scheme will have very little impact on the local environment and the local landscape.
This plan would take at times as much as, or nearly 70% of the water out of the waterfall. It's also a designated wildlife site, designated for its damp-loving plants. That will be threatened.
Now, she started out as a sprinter for Team GB, but now Newport's Mika Moore is gearing up for the Winter Olympics, competing for Jamaica on their bobsleigh team. Now, she left the British Winter Sports programme in 2022 after claiming she'd witnessed damaging and offensive behaviour. Now, Moore says representing her heritage will be the greatest honour of her career. Andrew Richards reports.
From representing Wales on the track to Great Britain in the bobsleigh, it has already been quite the journey for Newport's Mika Moore. But after gaining Jamaican citizenship in 2024, Moore will now compete at her second Winter Olympics, this time wearing black, gold and green.
It's incredible. I described it yesterday as like opening up your phone and tapping on every emoji, because I don't think there's one emotion that I could put to it. Like, obviously super excited, but this has been a really long, hard journey. So I'm so grateful, like, for everyone who's supported me throughout that. Mum, Dad.
This last part of the process to qualify and be selected for the Games has probably been one of the hardest things she's had to do. She's had to travel all over the world. I'm very biased, but it's obviously as her dad, but I'm super proud of what she's done to achieve what she's achieved.
After competing on the track at the Commonwealth Games in 2014, she then switched to bobsleigh, placing 8th at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, Britain's best ever result in the event. She left the GB bobsleigh programme in 2022, citing a negative environment for women and members of the BAME community. At the time, the BBSA said it was aware of the allegation and said it condemns discriminatory behaviour of any kind. The 32-year-old began competing for Jamaica 12 months ago and says she's immensely proud to represent her mother's side of the family next month.
I never got to meet my grandfather. He passed when I was very young, but his name was Vincent Byfield. My mum has taught me everything she can about him and everything she can about my heritage. Wales and Jamaica, to me, are very similar countries. We're very small, but we're very mighty. And I believe that's why I'm the sportswoman I am today.
The Games in Milan begin in a few weeks' time, with Mika competing solo in the women's monobob, as she hopes to make both Wales and Jamaica proud.
Yes, and good luck to Mika. Right, time for the weather now, and staying unsettled, Derek.
Yes, Jen, at least for the next few days, all down to low pressure. That means there is more rain and showers in the forecast, and watch out for stronger winds on Friday and Saturday, especially in the southwest. Now, the northern lights were visible in some parts of the country again last night. This picture was taken in Llandeisant on Anglesey, and they were seen as far south in Cowbridge in the Vale of Glamorgan. Now, there is a small chance that they will appear again after midnight tonight, mainly in the north, so it might be worth a quick look. Now, weather-wise today, we've seen a little blue sky and sunshine in Carnarvon and Gwynedd, but not so nice in Brecon this afternoon. Grey and murky there with some heavy rain. Now, this evening, showery rain will drift its way northwards. Overnight, it will turn drier, still a few showers about, and milder than last night. Lowest temperatures around 7 to 9 Celsius. And then tomorrow, a trough of low pressure will move its way slowly northeastwards. So if you're lucky, you might see a glimpse or two of sunshine, but on the whole, a good deal of cloud with some showery rain milling around. And some of this could be on the heavy side, turning drier in Pembrokeshire later in the afternoon. Temperatures up to 11 Celsius in a few places and less windy. So all change on Friday. This deep low has been named Storm Ingrid by the Portuguese Weather Service. So on Friday, a band of rain will move northwards, followed by drier and brighter weather and a few scattered showers. A windier day on Friday, gusty in the southwest. Then for the weekend, some rain and showers, but some dry weather as well, with lighter winds on Sunday. Jen.
Derek, diolch yn fawr. And that is Wales Today. We'll be back with the headlines at 10:30 tonight, but until then, have a good evening. Bye-bye.